Howdy folks, Hellcracks here, and welcome to Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, episode 146. And today we're going to be delving into the Jagermech, a mech that gets tossed into a role that it shouldn't be tossed into, because most of the time people don't play with a lot of different stuff. Alright. The Jagermech is that 65-ton mech. It's a 460, doesn't have jump jets. We're talking about the Double D, the Double Delta. That's JM6-DD. And this one has 10 heat sinks, 116 points of armor, which I believe is ferrofibers, and with case. Yay. And it's going to need it. And the interesting thing about this mech is that it has XL engines. And you go, wow, XL engines, got all the bells and whistles on it. Yes, it does. And then for equipment wise, to go with this paper mache armor, we have the Ultra AC5 in the right arm and left arm. We have the AC2 in the right arm and left arm. And then we have a medium pulse laser in the right torso and a medium pulse laser in the left torso, with a ton of ammo in the right torso for the Ultra Cannon, and we have a ton of ammo in the right torso for the auto AC2s, and then the same thing in the left torso, with case in both of them. So, what did we say about the Jaeger? Well, the Jaeger is a very misunderstood mech, mostly because it's an anti-aircraft mech, and it gets tossed into games where it doesn't belong. If you don't have anything that's flying overhead, like helicopters, you know, like VTOLs, or some type of transport, or aerospace coming in, well, it's sitting in a role that it doesn't belong. So if it's shooting at stuff on the ground, well, finds itself where it doesn't belong. A lot of times a Jaeger is really good if you have a supply depot that you want to protect or something. Yeah, you got a couple of Jaegers parked around it. Yeah, that's fine, because that's its job, is to protect the rear areas, and it has those long range weapons to do the job, you know, because it's supposed to be shooting stuff out at longer range. That's why the AC2s are around there. And with the advent of the XL engines with this thing, they upgraded those standard autocannons from the 6S Jaeger and gave them AC5 Ultras, which, you know, they can pump out some pretty decent firepower. But it's one of those mechs that, with 116 points of armor, you definitely do not want this thing anywhere near where someone could shoot at it, because if it does, it's going to have some problems. It's got, like I said, paper mache. You know, we're only talking 8 points of armor in these arms with this thing, and a large laser hit it, it's automatically stripped all the armor off of it. You hit with an AC-10 or a PPC from a inner sphere weapon system, and it's punching a hole through. Now if you get hit with a Gauss rifle or a Clan PPC, this thing is gonna be having a hard time, and you're pretty much almost have the entire arm ripped off in just one shot, and you're losing almost half your firepower. So you have to keep this thing sequestered, yes, that word, sequestered, in the rear, where it doesn't have to worry too much about being shot at. You know, with the AC2s, you can do the job pretty decently getting out there at range. And if somebody has a VTOL or something, that's its job, is to punch some holes into it and maybe bring it down or slow it down enough to have other forces do the job. Now, one thing that really kind of irks me in a way is that there's not really the rules per se in the game. You know, it's supposed to have really good anti-aircraft capability. So this should have, okay, if something's in the air, you should have ability to hit it easier. Say a -1 or actually a +1 or something like that, to be able to hit your target. So if you need to roll a 6, it becomes a 7. So when you roll those 2 dice. So that would be something that would be, would have been nice to have in the game, to actually fulfill the role, give that role for it is that's supposed to have in the game, but not really there. And so we are stuck with having to figure out what to do with this thing. Okay, if you're happy with it and you like for what it can do, leave it the way it is. Now there's some options though. Let's just go look at some of the known variants here. Alright, we have the 6A, which was the original, which replaced the autocannons with LRM-15s. I've used that one to pretty good effect. You no longer have the AC-5s, they are now LRM-15s. That's pretty common variant that I've seen in games. It works pretty good. It does have 32 more points of armor, so it can stick around. So it's still a fire support mech with those autocannons and the LRMs, and when those are done, okay, whatever. And we were talking about the double D here, Delta Delta, then there's the Delta Alpha. This was the Jihad. This comes out in 3070. This one, it uses the chassis case, all the blah blah blah, the same stuff. The standard AC-5 and the light AC-2s have similar range characteristics, so they kind of change the weapon slightly and put an advanced targeting computer on board with 10 doubles. Dissipate the heat, so that helps out a little bit. Okay, then we got the Delta Golf, the DG. This field refit resulted in inspired technicians working in Jaegers to overall undergoing major halts. And this was in 54. Replaced the autocannons with 2 Gauss rifles and 6 tons of ammo, and swapped out the medium lasers to ER medium lasers and double heat sinks. So that's an interesting one where you have something that can shoot out at pretty good range and hit hard. And it's not a bad design there. So if you ever find yourself with one of those, you'd be kind of happy. Just don't get it near anything that can shoot at it, because it's paper mache armor is going to hurt it. Then we got the 6H. This is a periphery one. The entire weapons loadout is replaced with 2 large lasers and 2 LBX-2s and a ton of ammo and 6 rocket launcher 15s. Okay. And 10 tons of ferrofibrous armor carried and 10 double heat sinks for the heavy lasers. Alright. So, not bad. One right there kind of uses some, with the rocket launchers. That's kind of a different look. Then we have the C3BS. What's BS? And this come out in 75. The Jihad has a pair of light AC-2s, a single snub-nose PPC, and ER medium laser, and experimental C3 boosted slave for sharing data with its lance mates. So, yeah, that's still kind of falls under the anti-air slash, it has something up close to protect itself with when something gets a little closer. Then we have the Delta version, the heavier Jaeger variant, introduced in 57, adds 5 tons of more weight to the DD. 4.5 go to directly increases the ferrofibrous armor. The AC-2s are replaced with 2 large lasers, ER large lasers, and double heat sinks, 13 of them. That's kind of what I'm going to be talking about here with a variant I like to use. And then we have the 70-ton variant, like the Delta version, introduced in 62, replaces the D's, the Ultra Cannons and the ER large laser with a pair of rotary, can't even talk today, AC-5s with 4 tons of ammunition that you can burn through, and a targeting computer, and a ECM, and has 12 double heat sinks. And then we got the G version, which was introduced in '68. Utilizes a pair of twin rotary AC2s and LBX2s and a pair of ER medium lasers. So that's kind of something that shoots out at good range, and it's basically used for knocking down, or if you're shooting at targets at like vehicles, you know, we're talking plinking away and getting motive hits on different kinds of vehicles. Now, there's two ways of looking at this thing. If you have a 6S in your stable and you want to upgrade it, we can talk about that in a second. And if we got the DD version, we can always look at that one. With the DD, you got two options here. Option one is to replace the AC2s and replace them with two ER large lasers for a little more damage, and then you got throw the extra. You got 3 tons there that you can play with, because you get 1 ton from each autocannon and ammo, so you got 3 tons. So you can toss that into heat sinks, or you can toss into a couple heat sinks and then more armor. So there's a couple options there. Neither one of the options is really good without gutting the entire vehicle mech and doing something with it to make it more versatile. Now the other version you can do is, this is what I've used to do, is downgrade the autocannon 5s, the ultras, and put, so you have 4 AC2s on board, and then throw all that extra weight into armor, and you got the 10 double heat sinks on board, and then you can toss in some more medium lasers on board, so you have something you can protect yourself up close. You got the armor with it, and then you have something to shoot out at long range. And if you use special munitions, which come down farther down the pipe when it comes to equipment wise, then you can throw those in for special munitions. And so you got that option right there. So another option is to, like I said, replace the AC5s ultras with ER large lasers each, and then keep the AC2s with the ammo on board, and then throw a whole bunch of weight into armor and double heat sinks. So you could have 13 double heat sinks, 197 points of armor, which is almost max. You're short almost a ton, but you got ferrofibrous armor on. It works out. And then you could, with that, drop the fusion engine, and then you don't have to worry about having those XL engines that will kill your mech. So you can have a few more medium lasers, etc. So there's that option. Now here's one that I have used before later in so if I can find it, where is it? That one. Here we go. This one, which I've used before, you have 10 double heat sinks. It's a 460 XL engines. You have 4 ace. This comes out to like 58 or so, because you got to wait for the AC2 ultras to pop up, or the LBX2s, and I think those pop in around 58, 3058 or so, somewhere in there. And you got 4 AC2 ultras or 4 AC LBX2s. Works pretty good for knocking down and doing motive hits and hitting aircraft. And then you have 5 medium lasers for up close and personal. You got 188 points of armor, which is ferrofibrous. So that one works out fairly decently too. I've used that one to good effect. So you got something to protect you up close, and then you have something that shoots out at long range. Let me tell you, you can burn through. It has 2 tons of ammo with this one, and you can burn through a ton of ammo really quick, because you're with 4 of those, you're pumping out 8 shots a turn, so you can get about 10, 11 turns out of it before the bays go dry. But you know, if you're shooting at vehicles that way out there long distance, you can do some good damage with it and get a lot of moto hits with them. So there's a couple options right there when it comes to playing with this thing. But it's one of those mechs that people use it wrong. So if you just have the standard 6S or the DD or what, you know, with the auto cannons on board, it's one of those mechs where you got to keep it in range and protect it from being attacked, which, you know, is one of those things where you got to park it, you know, if you get into like a heavy wood hex or something and behind some good cover and park yourself and not worry about moving, you can do some good work with it. But the moment, you know, it's like I see a Jaeger on the field and I have the capability of sending some flankers out there to harass it. Even light mechs can tear up a Jaeger pretty quickly. And you get some mediums like some Phoenix Hawks or, you know, those type of mechs that can maneuver pretty quickly using their jump jets and whatnot. They'll tear a Jaeger up quick also. And you got to have a bodyguard for a Jaeger if you're using in the role of, you know, it's like, okay, if you're doing a campaign and somebody's bringing in some type of air asset, yeah, that's its job is to sit back in the backfield and not attract too much attention. A lot of times, most people look at it as like, oh, all they're ever getting hit was 2 AC2s, and they typically is like, oh yeah, most I can get hit with 4 points of damage. And occasionally you get that lucky hit that hits, you know, like a cockpit or something, you know, hits to the head and you get a pilot hit. Later in like 55, 58, whenever the special munitions start pumping in there, and you're able to use special munitions, you know, then it makes it sort of a different bird, you know, that a little bit different kind of threat. But, you know, that is the nature of the game. But if you're playing against clans, most of the weapon systems the clans have will outrange even the Jaeger, or, you know, with some really good weapon systems. And they see a Jaeger back there parked someplace, it's like, oh, that's an easy kill, quick kill. They'll focus fire that thing really quick, and the next thing you know, it's a pile of junk. Or if it loses both of its arms, it's like, oh, I'm just going to ignore it for the rest of the game because it has no weapon systems to worry about. So that's something you got to worry about with this mech. So that's the Jaeger pretty much in a nutshell. It needs work to use it in a more direct battlefield role. If it is being used as an anti-aircraft role, you know, park it in the back behind someplace and just scan the skies, you know. But you're kind of, most people look at it, you're wasting battle value, because if you're not having anything show up that's being airdropped or have VTOLs or aerospace assets, you know, you're kind of wasting battle value. You might as well bring something different to the table. Unless it's one of those scenarios where you're playing and you get stuck with one, and then you have to, you know, figure out what's the best way to use it and kind of shepherd it and keep it from being hammered. And as you can see, you know, it's kind of a popular mech in our stable, you know, for what, because we play campaigns where there is air assets out there, and you could see a Karnov showing up, and it's like a Karnov seeing a couple Jaegers on the field starts to sweat bullets a little bit, because, you know, they're going to get hit hard. Alright, hope you guys like this one. Share and like. If you got any questions, you want any type of rules or anything you want to talk about, put the page number, the book that you find it in. You know, I was just having a discussion last night with somebody, then they tossed me some extra information I didn't even know about, because it's hidden in the backfield someplace in one of those books that you seldom read. So if you find some interesting stuff, tidbits, throw it our way so everybody else knows what it's about, and then they can throw it in their games and put it down below. Alright, hope you guys like it. Like and subscribe, share with all your friends, and we will talk with y'all later. Hellcracks out.